Hi everyone, I'm Paul. This is Pepe Motorsports. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the 409 in the 57 Chevy chassis. Videos on putting an 09, a W series motor and a Tri-5. The way I did it, I think is probably the best way to do it. But anyway, you can check out the other videos. I think you'll like mine. And also we'll do a little shop walk around. I finished the mezzanine that I had started about a month ago. I have several more projects, and I want to show you a few cars outside that came in also. So thank you, and go ahead and like and subscribe to Pepe Motorsports. Okay, right now we took the 409 off the engine stand. So now we'll go ahead and put the flywheel on it. I made a little tool to hold the flywheel still while I torque it. I just got an old car valve, ground it to fit the teeth on the flywheel, added a little bracket, and then with a 9/16 bolt it right to the top where the bell housing goes. It fits there real well, so now I can go ahead and torque the flywheel and I can torque my pressure plates. It works out very good. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get some brake cleaner, clean off the flywheel, then I'll clean the pressure plate on. This is the tool that I use to put the clutch disc in. Instead of the plastic tool that they give you, every time I get an old transmission, I cut the input shaft off. I've got a fine tooth and a coarse tooth. It just works better than the plastic one, but you know, the plastic one works also. So we'll go ahead and stick that on. And we'll get it all lined up, get it in there, then we'll go ahead and torque that also. So in a minute we'll get that in, get the bolt started. If you want, sometimes you can also put a stud in one of those holes to slip on the pressure plate easier. I've done that before too, but this time I'm just going to go ahead and just go ahead and torque it. And you can see that little valve tool worked out real well to hold the pressure plate. This is the bell housing that I'm going to use. I found this bell housing probably about 3 years ago. I've been saving it for this car. It's a wedge bell housing. They don't make it anymore. It was originally approved for NHRA racing. You can see it says wedge on it, and then on the top it said passenger Corvette 1955 to 1962. And it's a blow-proof bell housing in its day. It's not legal anymore. And you can see it has the bottom piece. That's the hard thing to find, is one that has the bottom piece. But I have it. I got it out of San Francisco, and it's going on the 57. So we'll go ahead and install the bell housing right now. And then once we get the bell housing in, we'll be able to set the motor down in the frame. So we're setting it down in there now, and you can see all we have to do is just put the rubber mounts on the front engine mounts. We're going to get into that a lot more as we keep going on with this video. Okay, right now we're going to go ahead and go into the back mounts. Now the back motor mounts bolt to the bell housing, and they bolt to the horns in the frame. This is exactly how the factory bell housing bolts up. So it's identical. That's why the engine will fit in exactly like it should, you know, as the original motor fit in the car. So I'm going to put these two bolts in here, get that side done, then we'll go into the other side. Now, normally you would just have the engine mounting with the two engine mounts in the front, the two in the back with the bell housing. So the transmission would just hang with no cross member. That was always a weak point on the Tri-5. So what I did was I put an extra transmission mount in the back, which you'll see. So between the two mounts in the front, the side mounts in the back, which puts the engine exactly where it would be, then we have the transmission mount, and there's the transmission mount right there, and pretty soon I'll have the transmission set in. And what I wanted to show you was, normally when you put a 409 into a Tri-5 Chevy, originally there was different holes. There was a hole right here. There was a 6-cylinder hole. Then behind it, you can see another hole back there. That was for the V8 hole. Now, to put the 409 in, what I did was I just fabricated some new mounts to fit this. As you can see right here, I put a mount in here, and I welded one into the frame here. Then also from underneath, I welded another plate up underneath, so it's double plated just like the original mount was. So there's a bushing in the bottom of it, just like the factory was. And the reason why I did this was because I did not want to use the side mounts that most people do now. They bring the engine forward about 3/4 of an inch. I didn't want to do that. I wanted this engine to sit right where the original V8 engine fit. Now, by the way I made my mounts, I was also able, the fuel pump fits. I was able to get the the steering, and I'll show you how that worked out. I even have some better pictures coming up later, but the steering, all I did was I ended up having to put a rag joint on it, and I spaced the bottom of it with a couple spacers to lean it over just a little bit, and you can see the exhaust manifold clears. This is what I had to do with the Firewall, where this comes through the steering over a little wee bit, so the rag joint takes up for that. Plus, if I ever have to pull the steering box off to get at the exhaust manifold, I can. Now, the only thing I did do with this was, when I was younger, I went to look at some fellows that put 348s in 57 Chevys and 409s, and they took and beat the Firewall back. I didn't want to do that, so I went ahead and just cut my Firewall, and I have some pictures of it, how I started to do it. Now you can see now it's in there, but I'm going to send some pictures over, I'll show it to you. Everything fits well. Clutch comes through okay. All my speedometer cable comes through, and I made a throttle, it comes through okay. Everything worked out well. As like I said before, there are different videos of showing putting a W engine into a Tri-5, and I said mine is the best. It's probably might not be the best way. It was the best way for me. Nobody has, I guess, the best, but I like the way I did it because I did not move my engine forward. It's sitting exactly where it would be. I have 4 degrees angle on the engine like it should be, and with the engine sitting where it belongs, everything else lines up right. And in the old days, they didn't have, you know, in the days when people first had, they didn't do side mounts and all that. And I wanted this to be old school, and that's why, even if you look at my motor mounts that I made, I could have made them on a plasma cutter, real nice and neat, but I didn't want to. I made them like I would have done them in an old gas station back in like 1963 or 62. I'd have just got some plate, cut it, welded it, and that's just what I did. And then they worked out well. Engine centered, like I said before, I can get to the fuel pump. Everything else fits just right. You see I have a 2.4 setup on the 409. There's plenty of room for the distributor. Everything fits in real nice. Before I finish with this video, I wanted to show you a little bit more in the Firewall. I used 16 gauge steel when I first did it, then I formed it, primered it. Now right now we're setting the body down just to show you where I had the space. I put the body on and off it several times to line everything up and disassemble the car again, to paint it, the doors, everything went back in the rotisserie. Here's underneath the car with the cross mirror and everything did after it was painted. Here's another picture of the steering box so I can show you the clearance that I had. And the oil pan I used was a Steff's oil pan. That's one thing we didn't talk about. You can actually make one on your own if you like, out of your old oil pan. I've done that before also, but I bought the Steff's oil pan because I just wanted it to be, you know, really nice with the aluminum oil pan. I also mentioned to you at the beginning of the video, I was going to show you a couple more projects that we just got in. Here's a 73 Vega. It came out of Arizona. It was out in the desert. Car's been sitting since, I think, 78 or 87, I think. It's a pretty solid car. It's rust-free. A little rust around the windshield, which is not a problem to take care of, but the floors, I just took it out and cleaned it all out. You can't see, it's kind of dark in there, but the floors, there's no rust anywhere. Solid car. Very solid car. And we'll definitely do a V8 on this. It'll be a project down the road. I've been looking for one for a long time. Very solid car. Just a little Vega. There's a 71 Nova that I have to put quarters on. It's not rusted, they're just all beat up and they're rolled under. Somebody's already started on the frame in the front. They did some work on it. You can see in there. I'm going to do quarter panels on it. The doors are nice. The roof's good. Everything's good on it. So that's another project coming up. Take a walk through here. This is the 57 that we're working on, the 409. Here's a Duster, 6-cylinder Duster. That's going to take some work. We take a quick walk out back. It's a 67 Camaro Super Sport, Rally Sport Super Sport. It's got a 383 stroker, 9-inch, 4-wheel disc brakes. I got to completely do a frame off rotisserie restoration on this one. We'll get that car done. Just a couple oddball cars laying around. A lot of parts cars. And then this would be a big major project I want to do. I'm going to do an old school car hauler. This is a tilt cab Chevy truck. Runs and drives great. The only rust spot on the whole truck is right there. All solid, nice solid truck. Tilt cab, an old Sears truck. You can see it right there. They already picked up a rear axle for it of a motorhome with 411, so that'll go here. I got a 454 to put in it, and I'll use a probably a 4L80 transmission. So thanks again for watching Pepe Motorsports. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe and comment any questions you have. I'd be happy to help you with. See you on the next video.